Sweet. We got the people rolling in here. What's going on, guys? RC Kevin in the house. Jake, what's going on, guys? You know the routine. We're going to wait a few moments to get some people rolling in here. For you guys, if you guys don't mind sharing it on your feed, just to help get as many people in as possible. As I can see, for you guys that maybe don't know that are on Facebook or YouTube, this is streaming to both YouTube and Facebook. So I have questions and people coming in on my YouTube that maybe the guys from Facebook don't see, and then vice versa. So RC Kevin's on the YouTube side, Frank tuning in from YouTube, Brady's joining in, got Ron Sure in the house. Morning, buddy. So pretty cool. For those who are tuning in right now, if the audio is good to go, give me a thumbs up. And like I said, we're going to wait a minute or two to kind of get everyone joining in. And I got some good stuff for you today. I got some new products, some tire stuff, some 8-scale, working on some truggy stuff. I got an e-buggy right here for you guys to start talking about. And recap from the Nationals, Surf City. Got some tour drive stuff right here. So I got a lot of good goodies for you guys. So I'm pretty pumped. Max in the house. Jeff's in the house. Wayne. Audio is good to go. Well, cool. Like I said, for those who are just tuning in now, if you guys don't mind sharing it on your feed just to grow to your friends' audience that are in the RC world, just kind of helps grow the video a little bit better. Seems like we got 51 viewers in, so we can go ahead and start the video. Yeah, so basically this video we're going to be talking about August and September's recap. I feel like I've been to like 4 events in the last 60 days or so. It's been quite crazy. I've been doing a lot of club racing and hobby action. Just practicing and doing a little bit of testing with some 2-wheel drive stuff and some 4-wheel drive stuff. We just kind of finished the Surf City, but the week prior to that was the Roar 10-scale Nationals, where I ran 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, and short course. We got some setup sheets posted that I'll be going through here in about a minute or two. I got to copy and paste it into the comments. There is going to be a link to the website that I'll put in, so you guys can check that out. So, yeah, basically the Roar Nationals was in Maryland, flew into Baltimore. I actually went there earlier in the year doing some testing with Jason with J Concepts. We did a lot of testing with some tire stuff. I did some car tuning to kind of get me up to speed for the Nationals. And honestly, I think it was a very successful trip, even though I didn't podium in the 2-wheel drive division. It was a great experience for the entire team. I thought we got Cole Toller ended up finishing 3rd. I finished 4th. Aiden Horn finished, I think, 6th or 7th. We had Lee Sester in the main, and we had Drain. Also was 5 2-wheel drive vehicles in the main. I believe it was the most associated cars in the main over the TLR. So I would say it was pretty awesome. I think we got a lot of guys up to speed pretty good. The car was working well. I had some personal mistakes on my own in some of the mains and early in qualifying. I really wish probably could have got started 2nd on the grid, but yeah, stuff happens. I mean, I made some of my own driving errors, and that's kind of what happens. So, but I have some setup sheets. I'm going to put it into the comments right now. I'm actually copying the links as we speak. I'm pasting it in. So down in the comments below, you can see I posted a link for the B6.3, and I'm posting a link to the four-wheel drive setup as we speak down below in the comments. So for you guys wanting to check those out, don't hesitate to ask any questions as the video is going on. So we have some, like I said, if you guys have any questions going on throughout the video, don't hesitate to ask. Like I said, I'm going to be going through a lot of recap stuff, setup stuff. I got some new products I want to show from some sponsors and some new orientations with some 8-skill stuff I like to go through. So it's kind of a hit or miss. So we had a question come in: is there a setup change from stock to mod buggy setups? To be quite honest with you, if I was going to run stock right now, I'd probably show up exactly what I'm currently running on my mod car, and I think it'd be just fine. I don't really think you'd be changing a whole lot. I think there's some suspension stuff with shocks and spring. I feel like with the mod cars, you're going into the corner a little bit harder and accelerating a little bit harder. So you're using a lot more shock. It's getting deeper into the travel everywhere. So with the stock car, typically I would say you would run softer dampening, softer spring, and stuff like that just to get the car a little bit more active. Just because the car is not being thrown in to the corners nearly as hard, you're not getting deep into the travel and so forth. That would be like my initial thinking. Yeah. The link from Facebook did not work. Can anybody else confirm that? Should be working just fine. I'm not sure why it wouldn't be. Give me a second. I can confirm. I just clicked on the link on my other computer, and it seems to be popping up just fine. Yeah, so anyways, very good. What's up, Adam? Appreciate you tuning in. Me and I actually club raced last night at Hobby Action. Me and Adam Peters did some club racing last night. Did some tire testing with J Concepts, and had a pretty good time. Helped some of the guys there locally. I also wanted to bring up at the Nationals, we did kind of as a soft release with J Concepts, our new J Concepts Smoothie 2s. It's a brand new tire that we released. Should be available hopefully soon. I have no exact dates, but I'm so excited to say that no more sanding unless you want to. I don't think you're going to want to, but these are basically come already pre-made slicks. We've offered this in the past with our 60 millimeter wheel. These are now in 2.2, which is standard. To add to that, we did adjust a little bit of the carcass to help with the lifespan of the tire. Typically, when we would sand tires, we would run several sets during an event. And one of the things that I wanted to have was longer lifespan. So these tires, I would say you can get for sure. If you showed up to an event with one set of tires, I really believe that you can run this set the whole time and come out just fine without a question. I think in the past where we would run 3 or 4 sets or 5 sets throughout the event, these, 1 or 2 sets at the most, I think you'll be dialed in. The biggest thing is just the thickness of the carcass. It's a little bit thicker in my opinion. I think it drives a lot smoother than the sanded slick. So I would say for the initial break-in period for these Smoothie 2s is a little bit longer than the sanded ellipse. So where the sanded ellipse, you probably need 1 or 2 runs. or I know they've been good on the first run. These, I think, are also good on the first run, but you might notice a slight tick of not quite as grippy. So these are more of a break-in period for the long term versus the short term. So the break-in period, I would sauce these a little bit earlier than normal since the rubber is a little bit thicker. At the Surf City, I ran these in practice. We didn't really have many at the Surf City because we did beat them at the Nationals. We had very, very limited amounts. So I ran one set the whole time at Surf City. I noticed it was best to sauce them a little bit earlier, probably 25 to 30 minutes. And then sauce them after the 35 or to 25 minutes, sauce them again, probably 15 or 10 minutes before you're up. You throw them out, and they were amazing. So I would definitely say when these things come out, I hope to not see as many sanding. I know people don't like sanding tires. It's not exactly the first thing that customers want to do when they get into the hobby is sand tires. They just want to focus on driving and having fun. So this is going to be a game changer. I'm looking forward to just mounting these up and just driving. These are actually been ran in a bunch of times. So, but when you do get them, it's not like you're sanding them completely bald. They already come bald, but there is normally a mold release, like rubber release down the center of the line. If you have a pair of clippers to purchase, you can purchase these on Amazon. These kind of things, and you basically I would just trim off the center rubber. Or if you want to do even a scuff, you can still put them on a drill and use Scotch-Brite. I don't think it's exactly necessary. I think you don't have to do that. If you really feel like you want to get really next level, then sure, do that. I've also been kind of thinking too that the break-in burning in the sauce for the first time with these brand new, I think burning in the sauce, since like I said, they are a little bit thicker, to really get the sauce into the rubber, or at least once or twice, and then you're kind of good throughout the lifespan. But you guys will definitely notice running these Smoothie 2s that they're going to be pretty badass to drive. They last a long time, and they drive pretty smooth. So that was my little rant. I've been so pumped. I've been sanding a lot of tires for a lot of years now, and it's been great to just mount these up and just drive. Okay, so I'm going through some questions. Cool. So looks like the setup sheet worked for a lot of you guys. Hopefully people that were having problems figured it out. So we had a question come in. Does this ProTech 6100 milliamp battery have more punch than a ProTech 4600 milliamp battery? Technically, yes. The 6100 battery will have more punch longer than the 4600. Both batteries have the same C rating, which is the burst, but the 6100 will have more voltage throughout the longer run. So if I ran stock, I'd always run the biggest battery. I see people run like the medium thin batteries or like the 4600. I'd definitely say that the 6100 is superior. For mod, obviously, I do run the 6100 for the mod car just because I wanted the weight reasons. But for you guys that run stock, you guys can get your car already pretty light with some other things that you guys do. So I just got my associated order. I'm actually going to be building a V6.3. I'm going to build it fully decked out stock buggy. Hobbywing has some new prototype motors that I'm running. I'm doing some 17.5 testing. So I should have some videos that I'm going to be working on, some motor gearing, and some 17.5 setup settings that I like to go through. The speed control of the motor. Also, some car-related setup stuff for the car stuff, and I want to race it at Hobby Action. So see kind of where we're at. I want to actually build it as good as I can and race it, and then maybe have some kids or some of the guys that locally at the track drive my car. Hopefully they like it and they run the setup, or even buy an associated car. So having a little bit of fun with that, which would be cool. So I'm pretty stoked for that. Wayne Adams asking, do they make these 8-scale slicks? They don't make them in 8-scale. I'm not sure. We don't really run slicks on 8-scale on the nitro races that we run them at. But for indoor reasons, I just don't know if it's quite popular enough to justify. So Tom's asking, I watched your video on the sidewall gluing. Notice you didn't use the activator on sidewalls to harden the glue. Is this normal, or do you use it as a tuning tool? So when I glue the sidewalls, I don't use kicker to harden it. I just let the glue naturally dry, which hardens it anyways. But I do know I've heard where people use the glue on the sidewalls, spray kicker in a cup, put it over the tire, and it like really hardens it and makes it like super shiny. I've never tried that technique, but if you let the glue dry completely without using any activator, it still gets hard. So I wouldn't say I use it specifically as a tuning tool at all. That's just the way I've been doing it. Am I excited for Stellar Nationals? Yes, I'm actually been doing a ton of wrenching, working on some Truggy stuff right now, working on some Truggy clips. My Buggy, which we'll kind of get into here shortly, is kind of all prepped. As you can see, I still got a used chassis on it, but it should be good enough to get through Southern Nats. So yeah, Ryan Priest, what do you think about the ride height? Yeah, last night. So I was at for those who are watching, since I was at Hobby Action last night, I was given a bunch of people, our local fans and people there, were running their cars, and everyone's ride height looks so high, and I'm running mine like so low. And Ryan Priest was like running Truggy ride height on his two-wheel drive buggy. It was like out of control. Well, cool, guys. I'm gonna move in over a little bit to the Surf City, and talk about some of the events. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about OCRC not going to be around anytime soon. I don't really want to get into details about that. I've heard some rumors. All I know is we just finished up the 2021 Surf City Classic. As always, it's always a crazy event with the single 10-minute mains. Always adds excitement and craziness. I actually had a decent qualifying effort racing. With the 10-minute mains, we have to set up the forward drive cars a little bit differently because we do run the really small, low milliamp battery to get as minimum weight as possible. So when you go to the really heavier batteries, it really makes the forward drive cars drive a lot differently. There's a lot of like swing weight from the rear, a lot of weight transfer to the front. So we were tuning with rear camber links and rear geometry stuff and shock package for the compensation for the rear weight. I think the forward drive cars work better as light as possible, but it's a tough combination for those who run like the 13.5 forward drive class. You run the bigger battery because it has more power longer, but there are some things that you lose with some handling reasons, given that the B74.1 is a little bit on the heavier version versus the other cars on the market, but there's a lot of things that we can do to lighten it, which I run the plastic internal gears. I run the carbon fiber ESC weight plate. I run the carbon front and rear arms, carbon diff cases, carbon center splines. All that stuff takes away some weight. So you can get your car pretty light. So yeah, so as far as Surf City, I was looking at some questions for you guys. I'm gonna go answer some of these questions here in a moment after I discuss some Surf City stuff. So basically, I showed up with my car from the Nationals, made a few camber link adjustments. My two-wheel drive car setup from the Nationals has a lot longer camber links than traditionally, which I don't necessarily think is something that would be a common thing you would want to do at most tracks. The Nationals, you guys got to keep in mind it was a glued surface that is extremely high bite, has insanely high traction. So the longer links, the reason why I ran them on tour drive was to get the car just to have natural rolling, which means it didn't want a traction roll. But that stuff typically takes away traction. So if the track's really high bite and wavy and bumpy, the longer links typically help with making the car easier to drive. So that's stuff that I've kind of learned along the way. That's something that we've ran at the Desert Classic once. We've ran at the Masters of Dirt in Myrtle Beach. So there's just a lot of different ways to set up a car. It's all about weight transfer and smooth steering. So we have some questions coming in. Can you talk a little setup changes on carpet for the smaller radius tire that are now common, please? Honestly, the biggest thing that I can say about the smaller diameter tire is the ride height and diff height. So typically with the bigger tire, like your preload on your shocks is going to be a little bit different, along with the ride height, how bones level the dog bone gets with that tire size. So for those who are running the newer tires, the smaller diameter tires, you might not need to run the diff height nearly as high. If anything, we have a setup posted from the debut of the B6.3 at the 702 event. And I actually ran, I believe, 1 or 2 diff height instead of 3. It might have been 1. I'm not 100% sure. I would need to check the setup sheet. But yeah, I'd say for sure there are some setup changes with a diff height. You don't need to run it nearly as high. Typically, when you run it higher, the car rolls a lot more and has less steering. The lower you make the diff, the car gets stiffer under acceleration, which typically helps grab the front tires into the ground. So it could have more on-power steering and stuff like that. Scott, do I think the Smoothie 2s are going to be dialed to hobby action? I think the Smoothie 2s are going to be dialed everywhere where we run slicks. It's not even going to be track dependent. It's just going to be a new standard for us. I think that's going to be the tire that we run for quite some time. So hopefully they're available soon to order. I'm not 100% sure when they will be. So Chris Van Air is asking, do you or any of the other pros have thoughts on racing stock at a larger event, since those classes seem to be very high competitive level in the most entries? I'm curious on your thoughts if all the pros ran spec classes would force the industry's hand to make more of a realistic spec class. Chris, that's a good question. We've thought about this a lot. I've actually thought about running stock at the Surf City this year, but we're not quite sure. It's not that we can't. There's no rules that we can't run it. I think it would kind of help the customers out. It would make us more relatable for them, given that we're running the same class. I think there's a lot of pros. I think we should be running stock. I think we should all be running the same class. I just don't know how it would affect the industry as a whole. I think that that if the pro guys ran stock, the guys that are winning stock now wouldn't be at the top like they are now. That's just my opinion. It's not that. Yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of difficult to say. I think that the top guys will still be at the top. I think it'd be harder for the guys that run stock now to compete. Um, in my opinion, I think there'll be some times where some of the stock guys that race stock now could throw in some good runs, but um, yeah. Mike is asking, so for the grip at Hobby Action, do you lengthen the camber links? No. So for Hobby Action, that's kind of interesting, given that the bumps and so forth track has some character. I'm just running standard camber link positionings on the car. I have nothing really exactly special. I think there are times where I've ran the longer links there at the Desert Classic when the track's like pretty fresh and there's not that many bumps. But it is something to test just to see what it feels like to simply throw on longer camber links. Like for the 2-wheel drive, on the setup sheet, I ran the longer link on the caster block, and in the rear, I ran the inner link a little bit longer. That's typically kind of my go-to for that. Yeah, I would love to go to April Fools. Maybe that's something that I can schedule for next year to race it out. I know out that way the track's super awesome. I know the crew did very well this year with Dustin and Aiden, so that was pretty cool. So looking forward to that. Some a person from YouTube asked, I still have an old B44.2 and the Centro converted B4.2. Could I still be competitive with those cars today on a carpet track? Honestly, no. The B44.2 is so outdated as far as setup related and durability wise. It wouldn't even come close. The B4.2, I would say it's not anywhere near as advanced as the cars that we have now. The Central car is a stand-up 3-gear or stand-up 4-gear, I think, and we're running 3-gear transmissions with the lay-down transmission 3-gear. It has a lot more corner speed. There's a lot of diff height and axle height adjustments that car doesn't have. I think it'd be still fun to drive those cars. Definitely, if you're just there to have a good time, that is totally fine. No need to purchase 2 new vehicles. But if you were going to go try to compete, I would say for sure you might want to save up the piggy bank and upgrade. Boom, 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 boom. Tom, yeah, there's no flying around in my room today. It's nice. It's silent. It's quiet in here. There's no bugs flying around. That one time, that was pretty bad. I will say that. So, good question. I had a question come in. Hi, Spencer. Is there a big difference between the B64 and the B74? And we run B64D on our backyard track at Short Track RC, and they are great. The difference between both vehicles is a lot of the more adjustments that you're capable of getting on the B74 with the adjusted diff heights, axle heights, the length of the chassis. A lot of Ackerman and steering settings are a lot different. We did a huge study on a lot of things for that B74 car to make it very similar to the 2-wheel drive cars of how you steer. But I mean, if you're running at the backyard track, I wouldn't necessarily say it's that critical. But I mean, if you wanted to really see if you're asking if there's a difference, there's a pretty big difference. But if you're just out there having some fun, I wouldn't necessarily say, because it is a big commitment that you would need to get the B74. But if you wanted to upgrade in general and you were curious on an upgrade, yes, it is a lot different of how it steers, the smoothness of the steering, the traction that it has. So, yeah. Taylor, let's see. Yeah, Wayne makes the car easier to drive with the longer lengths. That is for sure. So Tyler, are you going to the JC race and Hoosier RC Hobbyplex in October? I don't think I'm going to be attending that. We have some 8-skill testing that we're going to be doing. I'm not. I would go if I actually went to the series, the first event or the second one. I actually ended up getting sick on one of the events in Florida, so I didn't able to attend that. So I'm actually not in the series. So it didn't really make a whole lot of sense for me to go. There was some testing that we need to kind of get done for the end of the year. But I'm pretty pumped that it is at that track. It sounds like it'll probably be there again next year, hopefully. And I'm going to be probably doing both carpet and dirt series, I think. We'll kind of plan it by year, or either one or the other. So, Jim Silva, yeah, it was a late night. Actually, we ended up getting home around 11:30. That's when I walked in the front door, which was not too terrible. This is my car right off the track at Hobby Action. When practicing 8-skill, do you hit up Adobe or TNC? They're different. So does that allow you to work on different setups? Mike, when it is 8-skill season, like running, I mean, in the summer, it's basically too hot to run. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to go to 2 different tracks just to see what your generic baseline setup feels like. I really wouldn't say when I go to the tracks, I really do a whole lot of testing here in Arizona because the traction is so much higher, and typically it's hot and the track just is dry, and the compounds that we run aren't the same. But when it starts getting more like in the spring and the winter, it's always nice to go club racing like at the Tony's track because they water the track. It's more of the same of what we are accustomed seeing. But yeah, I mean, typically a well-balanced 8-skill car works well everywhere. That's something that we're still working on, just trying to find, a little bit of here and there drivability on our car. Everyone's always searching for something better. Boop, 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 boop. Chris, I will be there at the Masters of Dirt. I'm pretty pumped of that Masters of Dirt race. It's always awesome. It's actually cool this year because Scotty's going to be announcing. I think the program's going to be ran awesome. I think the racing will be great. So I'll see you there, hopefully. Tom, love the videos. They are like your office hours. Yeah, I mean, I'm in my hobby room all the time. I'm wrenching. To my right of me, I have my workbench. I got parts everywhere. I got a truggy I'm working on. I got shocks right here I'm working on. I'm working on the rear clip of my truggy. I kind of got it all apart. I'm kind of cleaning it up and working on the diffs. Yeah, I think it's fun. I have to my left here. You can't see it, but I got like computer stuff to my left. I got another workbench behind me that I work on. So I got a pretty good setup here at home. David's asking, hey, Spencer, when lengthening the camber link, does it matter where you do that to change inner or on the camber mount or on the caster block or rear hub? It all matters. In the theory, it does do the same thing. But like I said, I typically on carpet, it's weird. On carpet, I've always done the camber link lengthening on the inner mount. On dirt, I've always done it on the outer caster block. But For the rear end, it's easy just to do it from the hub. That just adjusts it pretty quick. We have nice little ball stud washers or the carbon fiber shims to lengthen and take away the length. So it does, everything matters. I would definitely say it's personal preference. So Chris, so now you are short course Roar champ. Do you want to take on back-to-back masters of Dirt champ? Chris, I don't think I'm going to be able to compete against you there. So I'm going to say I'm going to retire my truck and call it a day. But I'll help you set that thing up. Maybe there's some things that I learned. Maybe you can teach me some stuff. My truck at the Nationals is pretty good. I think I could have made it a little bit better. I wish I would have tried a gear diff in my truck. I ran a ball diff. So when are the Smoothie 2s coming out? See, I said that earlier. I don't exactly know. Hopefully soon. I really don't know. Hopefully by the end of the year, I would think. I'm not sure. Hi, Spencer. Thanks for doing these live videos. I'm not going to be able to make it to the RC Madness for the Turf Nats, but if I could, what would your starting setup for the B6.2 or B6.3? Honestly, I don't really know what I would start with for setup. I would probably just start with whatever my carpet setup I have posted at for 702 Raceway and just kind of work off that. And just kind of make adjustments from there. AstroTurf's a lot less traction than carpet, so you might need to run a lower rear diff. And some ball stud washers that would be a little bit differently. Some Camber links, you probably won't need them to be quite as long. Yeah, so just my 2 cents there. Someone coming in, Rifkin, I like your body patterns. The dark purple is so impressive. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. Yeah, Chris, really need your advice on the truck gear front and pinning rear ring gear and pinion. I have new cases. I have 8.2 sets of gears last weekend. I feel her track was very high grip. 8.2s went slicks 49-minute main. Yeah, I'm not sure what to say about that. We're kind of in the process of relooking at all that stuff again. If I see you at the next Nitro race, I can take a look at your ring and pinion shimming and kind of go from there, in my opinion. But yeah, it's tough to say with the heat, the traction. It all makes it very difficult. And the guys back at the shop are well aware of the issue. So we will see. I'm reading through some questions. What kind of setup would you recommend for Hobbytown, Hobbyplex? I'd probably recommend that my starting setup that I had posted from Series CRC, I would say that would be a good starting point. Or even I would start with either the national setup, but with standard camber links. That never really hurts. Wayne, my shock oil changes for Surf City with I still went to I went back to the 1617s in the front and 2017s in the rear, 3230. That's what I ended up running there. Chris Van Air, how'd you feel about your new quarterback? My new quarterback's still the same. Tom Brady is playing for the Buccaneers, so they play tonight. It's my guy. That's my guy. But no, I know we were talking about Mac Jones. I think he's better than Cam. We'll see how that goes. But anyways, I wanted to talk a little bit about some e-buggy stuff. I have a different orientation for the electronics. I did post in the RC B3 Nation of how I have my electronics orientated. I know there's a lot of comments talking about Woodfoot had his stuff done before. And yes, I didn't say that I was reinventing the wheel with how I had my electronics laid out. It was more of just showing the team guys and customers that I did it and I'm going to be running it. So as you can see, I got the ProTech 6000 short stubby battery. I have it all the way pushed forward to the front. I had cut my radio tray and pushed the ESC all the way towards the front of the battery. I left like a 2mm gap just so it's not like sitting right up against it. I then taped the switch behind where the speed control was, and I would say the fitment is pretty good. So pretty awesome. I kind of wanted to go through kind of why some of the things I think that this is probably better than what we've been running. It's very similar to the B74 style. Takes away a lot of weight transfer, and a lot of swing weight. And my theory with where we had it before with a lot of weight towards the rear of the car, when you would drive into the corner with so much weight back here, it throws so much weight to the front, and the rear end gets kind of sideways and very loose feeling. And I think with the speed control and everything towards this one direction of the front end or centralized into the car, it makes the car very quick with rotation. I think there's a lot less swing weight. I think the traction will be more consistent and act more like the nitro car. So that's kind of why I think it might be best for some of you guys to maybe try this. I've already seen a bunch of people already posted photos of their vehicle with the conversion over. So yeah, check that out. You guys can screenshot if you guys want. Believe this is the ProTech 6000 battery. I think Reedy makes one, a few other companies also. And if you guys have any questions throughout the video, don't hesitate to ask. I'm going to be going through all of them. We got some time left. So that's pretty much it for my e-buggy. Yeah, I'd only run the 1900 in the e-buggy. People that run anything bigger than that, I think, is a little out of hand. The 1900 motor is plenty fast enough. Be right back. I'm going to go turn on my fan. And then I got my nitro car right here, my practice car I'm testing. This weekend I'm actually going to California to do some running at a track. And me and Mayfield are driving up tomorrow morning to do some practice, some testing, tire testing. I know we're on different car teams, but we help out each other with pitting and just help with anything. So it's always cool to have a good relationship with a fellow racer and have some fun at the track. I think we're meeting up with Adam Drake and Rhonda. I think there's a Gibberell this weekend, but we're not going to be racing that. We're going to be at a different track. So the Gibberells are fun. I think it's good racing. I think it's good to get on the clock, but also for us, we're trying to get some good track time before Southern Nationals. So for us to get as much running as possible, that wouldn't really workout for us. So we're going to go to the Paris track, I think, and run. Have a good time. Practice. Connor, how do you get your bodies from getting beat up? Well, I use the RM2. I mean, I would say my bodies still get pretty beat up, but I use this one, this practice body. I use like as you can see, there's like all kinds of stuff, but the tape that J-Concept sells, or you can use shoe glue, Yugon, or shoe glue. Sorry, shoe glue is what you want to help with protecting the body in spots that gets contaminated. So Chris, are you coming out to the new AMS question mark? Thoughts on the new format? Chris, I actually am going to be going to the AMS. I think the format is I think it's going to be nice that it's going to be different. I think the first year will be a sellout. I'm not really a huge fan of the 3-lap challenge in qualifying. I don't know. I still feel like the top guys will still try to get a full run. But to me, I think the all-out 3-lap challenge is going to basically make it more dangerous in qualifying. People are going to be trying their absolute hardest to drive as hard as they can for 3 laps. It could be dangerous for marshals. I don't know if it's going to have any problems, but I think the qualifying might look a little weird. I still think the top guys are still at the top, but I think initially until we get into the longer mains, I think it might look a little different. But then I think you get more track time. Yeah, it's gonna be weird. I'm looking forward to it. I think normally with 600 entries, the facility looks kind of full. There's a lot of people, but with 320 entries, which is 100 and let's just say half, 150, 160 kind of people, depending on 2 or 3 entries signed up, it's going to look kind of empty. So the atmosphere might feel a little bit different. But I do like that there's a schedule. I think it's cool that you can see when you're going to be up. You can go get lunch, sit down, relax. I do like that. But it might get rid of some of the vibe that they have. For the more people might feel kind of like boring. I don't know. I'm open for changes. Recently, Roar announced a new 110 scale off-road championships for early spring 2022. What are your thoughts on that? Chili, I didn't really realize they did that. Roar announced a new 10 scale carpet off-road championships for early spring 2022. So there's going to be a carpet nationals and a dirt nationals. Is that basically what you're saying? Can you confirm that? How frequently do you change your diff oils on your RC8 B3.2E? I really wouldn't say quite often, but I would say a fresh up from event to event. But I mean, if the track conditions change at the event that I'm at, then I do adjust them. Chris, so yeah, I did not know that they added the Roar Nationals for carpet. I mean, that's going to be interesting given that we already race a lot of races. I don't think adding another one would be exactly the ideal thing to do. I mean, I'm sure I'll be there. I think I'm looking forward to racing it then. I think if it's an off-road nationals, either have it on dirt or have it on carpet or switch it up. That's kind of what I think. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna make it to the carpet champs in Florida this year. I know you guys been trying to get me out there to race. Um, my schedule is so busy. I haven't done really many carpet races this year, so um, I'm not sure if you're going to see me there. We have a lot of new products coming out with a lot of my different sponsors that I'm helping with. So I think we'll have you guys will have a good turnout. I know you guys have some good people coming in. You guys have been having good people come in for the last couple of years now. So, um, yeah, I mean, I might go. I still might go. I'm not sure. It is not on the schedule at the moment, but that doesn't mean it can change. So Roar did announce an additional carpet off-road nationals. That's interesting. Um, I like that. I guess we'll see where it's going to be. Hopefully, it's not at a small carpet track. There's yet to be, other than maybe the Florida carpet track. All the carpet tracks I've raced at are super small. No one really has the appropriate carpet size track. I know Minnesota's track looks big, which will be nice to run there one day. The Florida carpet track's pretty big. The 702 track is a little on the smaller side, but it's better than most of them available. I know the track I was out earlier this year. I know PDX has a nice track, which I know Mayfield's going to. The other track out there in Portland is nice. So there's a lot of nice carpet tracks. I wish there were some bigger ones out there. I know there's a lot of nice dirt tracks. Hoosier Hours got the JC race, which will be cool. So the next list of races that I have coming up are the Southern Nationals. Well, this weekend I go to California to do some testing and practice. Southern Nationals is the week after. I think I have a few weeks off. I do the Masters of Dirt. I actually can look up my schedule for you guys. Let's see what we got here. Brent hooked me up with the schedule. So Southern Nationals next weekend. We're doing some. I might be going to the U.S. Open in October. I'm doing the Kinwall Classic in October. Then the Masters of Dirt in October. November, I'm doing trackside, the Team Associated race, and then right after that is the AMS. And then the weekend after that would be the Florida Copper Champ. So that's 3 events back to back to back. I think that's why I'm not going to be doing that. And then December, I have the Top Gun race in San Diego. So yeah, Kevin, I know we talked a little bit about it. I think the event would be awesome. I think we could do some get together again for next year on some early planning to get that into my schedule. Gosh, I think I have like 25 events or 30 events on my schedule. So it's tough to get everything in there at the same time, but we can work out something hopefully. Chris, yeah, I'll be at the BK race. So I'll see you there. Wayne, have you used the Taba 4 PX? Yes, I do. I have used it. I use it for like my crawler play cars and so forth. It's pretty nice. I'd say it's pretty easy to use. It feels good in your hands. So yeah, so pretty much Oh, Chile posted also for the 110 scale dirt electric offer nationals are still mid-August. There were many folks commenting online that they would like to see the race during indoor season, not in the summertime, when most focus on outdoor nitro racing. Do you agree this would make it easier for drivers and skills to prepare for this event, or do you prefer a transition? Hmm. I don't really. I think it'd make more sense if the Nationals was during that indoor season. I mean, um, yeah, I'm not 100% sure what is the best way to do it. I mean, we do so many races. I feel like it'd be nice if it was still like in the routine of when we travel to all these indoor races, and then just hit the Nationals, race it. Um, but I do understand why it's towards the end of the year. We do a lot of indoor races throughout the year, and then the last like big one, other than the Masters of Dirt, is the Nationals. So it's like we do all the indoor races. Everyone tries to like test and commit to what they best they got at these events, and then the Nationals is like towards the end of the year, and then it's like leave it all on the line and see who wins, and then see who wins, and then we still do like the Surf City and the Masters of Dirt, and then the Top Gun race. Those are like my last 3 10-scale races, and then the BK Classic. But I would say the Masters of Dirt and the Desert Classic are probably the 2 biggest individual races, and then INS races are also right there at the top with competing against the best of the best. So the events at Hobby Action, Hobbyplex, Hoosier, and so forth. And then as far as the best 8-scale races, it's the Race Time Entertainment races, the DNC, and Silver State. So typically about 12 events for Nitro, 10 to 12 to 15 events for 10 scale, and then in between we try to do a lot of testing and development. So that's always fun. Yeah. So Kevin, well, how often do you change your pills on your B6.3? I do adjust them at some stuff at times. I mean, I wouldn't say I adjust it like super often. Try to just keep it the same and make some small adjustments throughout the event, some ball stub washers and some shock oil. But typically when you show up to something that you've been running, just stick it out and focus on just some driving, some power stuff, especially on carpet. But well, right on, guys. Oh, you're talking about where? Not very often. I run a lot. They don't wear out that much, in my opinion. That's interesting. Maybe with the running. Yeah, I don't know. I don't wear out that bad. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna wrap things up. I'm gonna go eat some lunch out here. I'm starving. It was cool seeing you guys in the chat. If you guys have any other questions, don't afraid to hit me up on Facebook Messenger or Instagram on my public figure page. It was cool chatting with you guys. I'll be at the Southern Nationals in a week and a half. Hope to see some of you guys there running some Nitro, and we'll catch you on the next video. Thanks again, and have a good rest of your week and weekend, and see you guys on the next one. Later.